Jennifer Lopez's biggest secrets and scandals have been revealed to everyone. Between lawsuits and getting staff fired from their job, let's dig into some of her evil tactics that have been exposed. Jennifer Lopez's name has surfaced in a $400 million essay lawsuit against her ex-boyfriend Sean Diddy Combs. And let's be honest, it's hard to keep track of every Diddy accuser, but it's going to be difficult to not remember this one. The case, filed by Michigan inmate Derek Lee Cardello Smith, who, by the way, is serving his own decades-long sentence for an essay case of his own, alleges that Diddy spiked his drink and essayed him during a 1997 after-party. Court documents reveal plans to call Jennifer Lopez as a witness, citing her past relationship with the rapper from 1999 to 2001 as potentially helpful for providing relevant insights. Cardello Smith alleges he first met Diddy while working as a bartender. Now, he claims Diddy invited him to a private after party at a Detroit hotel where the rapper offered him a drink laced with an unknown substance. According to the lawsuit, Cardello Smith lost consciousness and later woke up to Diddy engaging in intimate acts with a woman. He alleges Diddy remarked, "I did this to you too," upon noticing he had regained consciousness. While Lopez has not publicly commented on the allegations, her potential involvement has captured widespread attention. Speculation suggests her testimony could provide crucial insights into Diddy's character during the time of their relationship. Now, the mention of Jennifer Lopez has added a new dimension to the case, fueling public interest and speculation, and while it remains unclear whether Lopez will testify or not, her involvement could influence the trajectory of the lawsuit and bring additional attention to the allegations against Diddy. Now, Diddy's legal team has labeled it as baseless, and that Cardello Smith mentioned 2 different locations for this alleged incident. They are also arguing that the claims were filed past the statute of limitations. So time will tell if J.Lo comments or gets involved in this or not. So keep your eyes and ears out for updates on this very bizarre case. Jennifer Lopez once got hotel staff fired for autograph requests, and this is one of just all kinds of ironic. Like, J.Lo has had a fair few movie roles under her belt. One of my personal guilty pleasures is Made in Manhattan, which came out in 2002. Now, in this movie, and much like Jennifer's own Hispanic roots, the character plays a Puerto Rican hotel maid trying to make ends meet while she cares for her young son as a single mom. Now, in 2012, in her real life, Jennifer's trip to Germany made major headlines because a hotel worker, who was also a maid, who's named Prey Dodage, was reportedly fired on the spot for requesting an autograph. According to sources, Prey asked her assistant for an autograph and was fired literally the next day for no reason. Prey would go on in a statement to say, "A day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said Miss Lopez had complained. I was fired right there on the phone." Prey had said she asked as politely as possible and didn't think it would cause such a frenzy and definitely not get her fired, but unfortunately it did. The hotel denied the rumors, as did J.Lo, who called the story hurtful. Of course, when Jennifer was being interviewed on playing a hotel worker in Made in Manhattan, she only had wholesome things to say, with her stating, "My character is just trying to make ends meet. I really relate to her. You shouldn't judge or discard people." Now, talk about putting your money where your mouth is, right? This secret is one she's been trying to keep under wraps ever since it happened, because not her playing a struggling maid and claiming she cares, but then gets a struggling maid fired for simply wanting an autograph. So, to be so fair, I see how the maid would assume J.Lo would relate to her since, you know, she played this role like 10 years prior. Anyway, Jennifer Lopez has made it very clear that she is Jenny from the block. She has talked about growing up in the Bronx so many times, and honestly, I don't think there's a single person that doesn't know that. Now, Jennifer won't actually go to the Bronx, like she refuses to visit. Now, pulling yourself out of poverty is nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, it can be something to be proud of. A homeless Chris Pratt was once serving up shrimp and living out of an RV before he got famous, and Mila Kunis's family moved to the US with just $250 to their name. So while some celebs, put their humble roots behind them and never look back, like I mentioned, a huge chunk of J.Lo's fame comes from repeating over and over that she's still Jenny from the block. She grew up in the Bronx and her family wasn't rich. J.Lo has even gone on the record and said, "I shared a bed with my 2 sisters." And yet she won't actually go back there. And despite growing up in poverty in the Bronx and writing a song about it, J.Lo only agreed to be in a vehicle commercial if she didn't actually have to go and film it in the Bronx. Now, this report centered around J.Lo's 2011 Fiat commercial, where the company figured it would be neat to film the star in her home territory. Fair. And while the ad appears to be in the Bronx, it was actually filmed in Los Angeles. Now, it was reported that J.Lo used a body double for the Bronx, which is insane. I literally have no words, but also I have so many questions. Like, why not just film in the Bronx? Was she scared? Does she feel too good to go there now? Is there someone she didn't want to run into? These answers we might never know, but what do you guys think the reason was? Now, Jennifer Lopez has been known to give very questionable interviews and has been accused many times of being rude to not only the person interviewing her, but to everyone else on the set as well. Now, one interview in particular that was very alarming was one she did when her song Waiting for Tonight came out. She was being interviewed actually by her sister on the set of her music video for that song, and she said that while they were setting up to shoot, they were playing music. Now, when she arrived on set, she was annoyed that the music they were playing wasn't hers. Now, remember, she is the one recounting this story. Then she goes on to say that she started to vibe with the music. It was dance and catchy, but she said she did so begrudgingly. Then when the chorus came on, she was actually like, "Oh, this is my song. That's why I like it." The music was actually a dance remix of Waiting for Tonight that she just didn't hear yet. So that's why she didn't know, of course, or recognize it at first. But a lot of people saw that interview and thought, wow, what a narcissist. Like, how odd she was for saying what she said. Like, no self-awareness at all. She was laughing at her story like she was the most charming person in the world, not the humble, Jenny from the block that she tries to portray. This isn't the first time something like that has happened though, and it's been reported many times that her own music must be playing at all times in her trailers and hotel rooms. Now, I totally understand you enjoying your own music. Actually, I can't really relate to that as I don't make music myself, but it's weird to me how insistent she is of this rule. And it's alleged that it's absolutely mandatory, and she will go into a spiral if this demand isn't met. I think J.Lo repeatedly fails to read a perfectly legible room. The argument could be made that if she had any common sense, then she would have laid low for this whole entire past year. About 10 days before Thanksgiving 2023, the headlines were dominated by Cassie and Diddy drama and, the $30 million lawsuit. Now, there were several horrific interviews given by several former members of Diddy's entourage detailing horrible stories, and many claim J.Lo may have benefited from those horrible stories. Now, considering the plethora of other accusations still continuing to unfold many months later, J.Lo should have known or been advised to lay low or do some good to the world, give back to, the block she's always bragging about. But instead, she comes out with the most insufferable album / movie / documentary, whatever it was. The fact she had $20 million to lose for the trilogy of failures that she released, and at the same time was aware that her Catholic primary school and Catholic high school in the Bronx begged her for meager donations to remain in operation, and she gave them nothing, knowing the negative impact their dissolution would have on the block she sings about. One might say she deserves the slow burn of an extended downfall. Now, many critics have said that she lacks authenticity. One social media user said, aside from the fact that she has no actual singing talent and has been relying on the uncredited voices of other women like Ashanti and Christina Milian to carry her songs, she insists on pushing the narrative that she's a hood girl from the block, and it's become so obvious that everything about her is phony. No one from her old neighborhood claims her. She doesn't do anything for the community that supposedly made her who she is. In fact, everyone who's ever crossed paths with her as a service worker only has horrible things to say. Another person went on to say her latest projects reek of vanity and delusion. No one thinks Bennifer is the greatest love story never told. No one even asked for that. Even Ben seems embarrassed about it. And she tried to make this whole song and dance act about her life so deep and profound, but it's actually just completely unhinged nonsense that shows how out of touch of reality she really is. Now, a big secret J.Lo never wanted to get revealed but did is the story of how she shamelessly stolen songs and vocals from other artists. There has been allegations allegations and controversy surrounding Jennifer's music and vocals over the years. Some critics and fans have accused her of using ghostwriters, auto-tune, and stealing vocals. One notable example is the controversy surrounding her hit single, If You Had My Love, in 1999. Now, some people claim that the song's vocals were not entirely J.Lo's, but rather a combination of her voice and that of a demo singer. Ashanti has even gone on interviews and said that they kept her vocals and ad-libs on the record, and in particular, J.Lo's song, I'm Real, was actually made for Ashanti. She even sang it, but it was given to J.Lo. Even the song What's Love by Ashanti and Fat Joe was supposed to be given to J.Lo, but Fat Joe actually stood on business on that one and made sure Ashanti stayed on that track with him, so good for him. Another notable example is the song Play from 2001, if you remember it, which was alleged to have used vocals from a demo recorded by, again, a different singer. J.Lo's team denied these allegations, stating that she has recorded the song herself. One of the most well-known shadiest moments towards J.Lo is, of course, the Mariah Carey moment. The feud between the two has been a topic of discussion for years, and it is the most notable instance when Mariah Carey said in an interview when asked about J.Lo, I don't know her. That phrase has become so iconic, and Mariah also threw shade at the allegation that J.Lo doesn't sing her own songs. In an article, Mariah once said she only slept 3 hours a night, in response to J.Lo saying she sleeps 8. She then followed it by saying, if I had the luxury of not actually having to sing my own songs, I would sleep 8 hours too.
J.Lo has made many enemies in her world, with many being those who work for her. They've leaked some awful details about her and shown just how horrible she is. Now, Gilly Liar had been a longtime assistant to J.Lo before she quit and went to work for Mariah Carey in 2013. It's been said that the main reason why she quit was because of J.Lo's boyfriend at the time, Casper Smart. Apparently, Casper was allowed to do whatever he wanted in the house, and this included him mistreating the staff members. That upset Gilly, a source told Radar Online. Casper always insisted that Jennifer's staff call him Mr. Smart, and even demanded that Gilly get him drinks. So it appears that J.Lo let her assistant get disrespected, which is just not okay at all, and it shows what kind of person she really is. Then there's the time when she got everyone to turn on her longtime makeup artist Scott Barnes. There had been a leak on J.Lo's team as they exposed to the press that J.Lo was planning on getting married to Marc Anthony. Now, J.Lo claimed that Scott was one of the employees who betrayed her, so she fired him and made everyone ignore him. The thing was, they never asked him about it though, they just fired him. Now, during an interview on the Jeff Probst show, he claimed that he didn't know anything about the wedding and wasn't the leak, but J.Lo's team still shunned him. Scott said, nobody would talk to me, it was like I had the plague. Then, when the truth came out that Scott did not leak the news or even know about the wedding ahead of time, he received a phone call from Jen, who Scott claimed said the following. It was like, hey, it was a big misunderstanding, you know we have a lot of stuff coming up and I really miss you, so let's just get back to work. Although Scott was very gracious about the whole thing, it appears that J.Lo did not apologize to him, and it's just crazy to me that he went back working for her and that no one put a stop to her behavior. Now, near the end of last year, Elon Musk was speaking on the Joe Rogan Experience when he began talking about J.Lo's criticism of the recently elected president and his remarks about Puerto Ricans. Elon then brought up J.Lo's personal history with Diddy as she dated him from 1999 to 2001. He said J.Lo was like his ex-girlfriend and now all of a sudden she's warning people about this person, but how many people did she warn about Diddy? Oh, 0. Maybe we shouldn't trust her opinion. He added people in the music industry had to know that Diddy was doing these things. Where's that accountability? They had to know. Now, Ojani Noah, J.Lo's ex-husband, claimed that she was involved in Diddy's freak-offs that came up in his federal indictment. I'm not on the list, Ojani wrote on Instagram. To those people and media outlets asking if I ever went or participated in that piece of Diddy's freak-off parties, no and no, never. But my ex-wife, Jennifer Lopez, aka J.Lo, did. Ask her. But in a shocking turn of events, one of her past assistants has come to her defense. Thea D'Souza, who worked with J.Lo on the 2002 film Made in Manhattan, posted a statement on Threads that said, if you knew Jennifer Lopez, if you ever worked with her like I did, or if you were close with people who are like family to her like I am, you would know she did not have any idea about Diddy. She barely drinks, she's not a partier, she isn't a good time girl, she's a workaholic who uplifts women, and who was charmed by him for a brief time in her life. Now, Thea emphasized that J.Lo does not deserve to be conflated with Diddy's shocking and criminal misdeeds. So Thea claims that J.Lo is innocent in all of this, but she's the only one who's spoken out. You see, J.Lo is refusing to speak about her ex Diddy. She walked out of an autograph signing at AFI Fest 2024 when someone in the crowd asked her if she had any comments about Diddy and the allegations. The US Mirror tabloid reported that the singer left immediately, despite fans' pleas that she stay. And don't expect her to say anything. In May, after video footage of Diddy hurting his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura was brought to light, J.Lo stayed silent. Now, many of Diddy's other exes have spoken out against him, but not J.Lo. Though tabloid sources claim that the Cassie footage disgusted her, J.Lo was silent on the subject and has stayed that way. Sources are saying that Jen is not going to address the accusations or take time to talk about them because it's not her story to tell. If an interviewer brought it up, she would cross that path as and when it happens, but she won't address it publicly and will not put herself in that conversation on purpose. Then there was the fact when J.Lo and Marc Anthony's twins needed nannies, J.Lo gave them a grueling schedule. Now, normally people who make a lot of money, like J.Lo for example, have numerous people who help them with everyday tasks, especially childcare, as it can be so difficult. But Jennifer expected one nanny not only to take care of both twins, but to work 16-hour days, 7 days a week, as an insider told the National Enquirer. Now, unsurprisingly, the first nanny she hired left after just a week of working for her. They hired her second nanny, who was wonderful with the twins, but she couldn't take working such long hours without a break, a source said. So then she quit after just a week as well. And yeah, I don't blame them for quitting. I mean, that schedule is just unreasonable. Then in 2022, a girl named Kyla posted a TikTok saying that her dad worked for a company that J.Lo would hire for drivers. But apparently he heard so many bad stories about the star that he never wanted to be her driver. It said that J.Lo does not allow her drivers to look or talk to her. She's also so strict that if the driver looks through the rearview mirror and makes eye contact with her, she will freak out. Not to mention that she has a crazy rule that her luggage cannot touch the ground. Now, it appears that this story is real though, because one of J.Lo's former drivers sued her. Hakab Menokian claims he started driving for J.Lo and Marc Anthony in 2005. He said that the three of them had such a great bond that they convinced him to shut down his company and work exclusively as J.Lo's personal head of security and transportation. He claimed that J.Lo agreed to pay him more than $200,000 per year, but things went downhill in 2011. This is when Hakab claims he was forced to spend time with J.Lo's manager, Benny Medina. He claims that Benny hated him and even found a way to convince J.Lo to demote him, taking away his security responsibilities and making him J.Lo's LA driver, and that was it. Now, he says that he was basically forced to resign and then sued J.Lo and Benny for unspecified damages. J.Lo then countersued him for extortion, but her suit was dismissed in December 2012. Now, the two eventually settled on undisclosed terms, but that honestly just sounds like a horrible situation. And finally, one of J.Lo's backup singers, Julia Wang, posted on TikTok how horrible it was to work with the star. She said she was so mean to her backup singers. If you were pretty or if you were Latina, like, game over, she hated you. Julia also said that J.Lo refused to talk or even look at any of the singers during their rehearsals, except for an occasional eye roll or scoff, which is just crazy. She acted like a bully. Can you imagine spending time with someone working in a closed setting every single day for months, and this person never even acknowledging you or acting like you exist? She asked. And honestly, no, I can't. That sounds like a horrible work environment. Now, she also shared that J.Lo changes the way she acts when there are men present, and Julia added that she only treats the women poorly because she views them as competition. It seems like if you have anything to do with J.Lo, it would just be horrible. Now, J.Lo is a performer, not really a singer. I mean, J.Lo claims she performs and sings live, but that isn't always the case. In November of 2021, she was slammed by music fans for allegedly lip-syncing during her American Music Awards performance as she took the stage to carry out her brand new song, On My Way, Marry Me. An angry viewer ranted, "Come on with the overproduced singing, this commercial sounds exactly like her live vocals just did." A commenter pointed out, "Now why are you lip syncing? You have a great voice, just sing the song." Now this isn't the first time this has happened though, as in 2014 she was caught lip syncing her performance of "I Love Ya Poppy" on American Idol. And again, fans were not happy about this. But should we really even be shocked? I mean, J.Lo doesn't even sing her own songs in the studio versions. Now for example, her song "Play" is sung by AM to PM singer Christina Milian. Christina wrote the song and she sings Play's entire chorus. Ashanti has also lent her voice to J.Lo, playing it off as her own. In fact, you can hear her singing on "Ain't It Fun" and "I'm Real." Ashanti spoke about this in 2014 and said, "I wrote Ain't It Funny. I demoed the record for her before I was signed and they kept my hook and some of the background and ad-libs and stuff like that. It was bittersweet because I was really excited that it was J.Lo, but I was so mad at not being able to have the record for herself," she said. Shauna Harrell is also alleged to be responsible for some of the vocals in "If You Had My Love," and Makeba Riddick apparently is the voice behind "All I Have." Now the chorus from her song "Jenny from the Block" was rumored to have been sung by Natasha Ramos, who demoed the song. Now in fact, Natasha addressed the claims in 2019, tweeting, "J.Lo did indeed go in the studio and lay down some background vocals over mine. So I wouldn't say she's so much lip syncing, however the backgrounds are predominantly me and some ad-libs and laughs are as well." When fans found this out, they called out J.Lo for lying and branded the music industry trash and insisting that Jennifer should not be famous for work she never did. But Natasha then stood up for the star. She wrote, "Well, that's a little harsh. J.Lo is one of the hardest working women in business. In my opinion, she certainly deserves all her success. I just deserved more from that project too. That's on the label though, not Jennifer. It's all kind of history at this point, lol." But J.Lo has also been accused of straight up stealing songs from other artists. Now one of the stars who accused her of doing this was Usher in 2015. He claimed that she stole a song that he cast aside while recording his hugely successful album called Confessions. Usher claimed that J.Lo's single "Get Right" is actually a re-recorded version of Ride, a song he co-wrote the year before, which was only available online. He said, "I hate it, but I better get some of the publishing rights or else. I didn't put it on my album because I couldn't get it right, but I didn't expect J.Lo to just take it." Now, besides all of that, it's been revealed that J.Lo is a cheater. Now, Jennifer and Ben Affleck had an on-again, off-again romance that has been going on since the 2000s, with fans even nicknaming the couple Benifer. Now, they just got divorced this year. It was a huge thing, but the timeline of their relationship in general is a huge red flag and included alleged cheating. So in July of 2002, Jennifer filed for divorce from her second husband, Chris Judd, citing irreconcilable differences. But this news broke just months after J.Lo wrapped the movie Gilgy alongside her then boyfriend Ben. Now even though she repeatedly denied cheating rumors, Ben took out an ad in The Hollywood Reporter gushing about J.Lo before her divorce wasn't yet finalized. In fact, even Chris Judd's father Larry spoke out against the couple and accused J.Lo of being unfaithful to his son. He insinuated that the affair started during the filming of Gilgy, saying, "I thought Mr. Affleck would honor a married woman and not just go right into the trailer." He added that she'd be happier if she just tell the truth, and no one in her little circle is going to say one negative thing about her. Now this is quite ironic because just years before, J.Lo accused Diddy of cheating on her and how heartbroken it left her. Now, I have to bring up J.Lo's infamous movie line interview in 1998. Now, this very well could have ruined J.Lo's career, as at the time she was 27 and fresh off the success of her film Selena. Now, she basically decided to trash all other celebrities that were big at the time and tried to trivialize their career and their contributions to the industry. In fact, when asked about Madonna, J.Lo actually said, "Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, so I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft. Now this was so ironic because J.Lo would go on to do both music and acting for the rest of her career, and critics also trashed her acting on the big screen. Also, at the time, Madonna had been a star for a lot longer than J.Lo, so there was really no comparison there. And when Gwyneth Paltrow was brought up, Jennifer almost seemed to laugh and made it clear that she didn't take her fellow actress's career seriously. Tell me what she's been in. I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work, she said. Now, yikes, this did not go over well, and hey, I can't blame the celebrities she dissed for being upset. Now this year, Jennifer recently released her documentary on Amazon Prime called This Is Me Now, A Love Story, which gave behind the scenes looks into her new album This Is Me Now and the accompanying movie The Greatest Love Story Never Told. Now some fans who watched it though took to social media to call Jen out for her lies. In one scene, Jennifer poses in the mirror of her personal gym as she shakes out her hair and reminisces about her childhood in the Bronx. I feel like taking my hair out like this, it reminds me like when I was 16 in the Bronx, running up and down the block, crazy little girl who used to be wild and no limits, all dreams, she said. However, a TikTok user, Photos by Angela, slammed the star in a series of videos as she claimed to have gone to the same Catholic high school as Jennifer and accused her of lying about her experience living in the Bronx. She said, "We both attended an all-girls high school in an Irish and Italian neighborhood, so you weren't running up and down the block." In fact, the Bronx is a place that J.Lo actually avoids. Now, how do we know this? Well, due to a commercial she filmed. The commercial is from 2011, and the caption to it on YouTube says, "This commercial is titled My World and is voiced over by Lopez, who is seen driving a Fiat 500 Cabrio as she travels through the streets of Manhattan to the Bronx where she grew up." The new ad explores her personal take on how life in the New York City borough continues to inspire her to be tougher, to stay sharper, and think faster. But this ad backfired when it was reported that she never actually went to the Bronx to film the ad, and that a body double stand-in was used instead. And I mean, if you watch the ad knowing this information, it's pretty obvious. I mean, why not just ditch J.Lo and use a different celebrity who would actually show up on set? Now, it's just crazy that they let her get away with this. We all know that Jennifer Lopez used to date Diddy, but now her ex-husband is claiming that J.Lo attended Diddy's parties and actually knew what was going on. Ohani Noah, J.Lo's first husband, took to social media to distance himself from any connection to Diddy's freak-off parties, but claimed that J.Lo was one of multiple celebrities present at them. While we do know that J.Lo has been to Diddy parties as there's photographic evidence, there has been nothing official put out about her involvement in freak-offs. Now, in a post on Instagram, Noah shared a list of stars who have allegedly attended Diddy's parties, one being J.Lo. "I'm not on the list," he captioned the post. To those people and media outlets asking if I ever went or participated in that piece of Diddy's freak-off parties, no and no. Never. But my ex-wife, Jennifer Lopez, aka J.Lo, did. Ask her. Noah, who married J.Lo in February 1997, before the couple divorced less than a year later, blames their split on Diddy's working relationship with J.Lo. Now that relationship was created during the making of J.Lo's debut album On the Six, and it later became romantic, with Diddy and J.Lo dating between 1999 and 2001 before calling it quits. She went from Jen to being J.Lo, this big business bringing in millions, Noah once told Daily Mail of the shift of their relationship. She had all these new people around her, all wanting to make money off of her. I would call and an assistant would say, "Sorry, she's not available." Now, this isn't the first time her ex-husband has called her out. Despite the fact that they were only married for 9 months, Noah has been trying to slander his former flame to keep his name in the news by any means possible. In 2006, he set out to publish a tell-all book dubbed The Unknown Truth, a passionate portrait of a serial thriller, which Jennifer stopped with a lawsuit, claiming claiming that her ex was breaking their confidentiality agreement. She was then awarded $545,000 in damages, and Noah was slapped with a court order which forbade him from criticizing, casting in a negative light, or otherwise disparaging Jennifer. Then just 3 years later, he made headlines again when he threatened to release videos taped during the pair's honeymoon, showing the pop star in a revealing lack of clothing and in certain situations, especially in the hotel room. And this caused her to file a $10 million lawsuit against him. Meanwhile, during a 2016 appearance on Million Dollar Matchmaker, he dumped blame on his former wife, saying that she caused their split, and claimed, "I was looking forward to being with her for the rest of my life. It didn't happen. She made the choice of her career instead of me." Now, after Jennifer tied the knot with Ben Affleck in July 2022, Noah publicly spoke out about her marriage. "I wish her and Ben the best, but I'm not convinced it will last," he told the Daily Mail that month. "Jen loves being in love, but she's been engaged 6 times. Ben is husband number 4. I was husband number 1, and she told me I was the love of her life." Now, it seems like in the end that he was right. Other stars have also called out J.Lo for her ties to Diddy as well. Elon Musk was speaking on the Joe Rogan Experience when he began talking about J.Lo's criticism of the recently elected president and his remarks about Puerto Ricans. He said J.Lo was like his ex-girlfriend, and now all of a sudden she's warning people about Trump. How many people did she warn about Diddy? Oh, 0. Maybe we shouldn't trust her opinion, he said. He added, people in the music industry had to know that Diddy was doing all those things. Where's the accountability? They had to know. Suge Knight also believes that J.Lo's and Ben's marriage fell apart because Homeland Security informed him that she was on the tapes that they found at Diddy's. "It's a white man who got respect in the white world," Knight said on his podcast Collect Calls. "I'm quite sure they said, we want to show you some things about your wife. I'm quite sure they headed for divorce because that's a man who had a good life. Great parents, don't spend a lot of money, ain't tripping off paparazzi, he's living his life. He got his own team, she done brought all that extra out, and now that mother effer he want out." Now, on the other hand though, Thea D'Souza, who worked with J.Lo on the 2002 film Made in Manhattan, posted a statement on Threads recently that defended the star and said that she had no involvement with any of this. "If you knew Jennifer Lopez, if you ever worked with her like I did, or if you're close with people who are like family to her like I am, you would know she did not have any idea about Diddy. She barely drinks, she's not a partier, she isn't a good time girl, she's a workaholic who uplifts women and who was charmed by him for a brief time in her life." Now, she emphasized that J.Lo does not deserve to be conflated with Diddy's shocking and criminal misdeeds. Now, J.Lo was recently spotted out in public interacting with fans when a paparazzi asked her, "J.Lo, do you have any comments about P. Diddy and the allegations?" Now, immediately J.Lo stopped taking photos and giving autographs and left. Many people begged her not to leave, but she didn't listen. She wanted nothing to do with answering that question or being associated with Diddy. Now, with Diddy's recent arrest, people have been speculating on his time with J.Lo. An anonymous source said he was very controlling, he would constantly put her in uncomfortable situations, this is a good girl from the Bronx who never got into trouble or was wild. The source also said he never hurt J.Lo, but she had her longtime manager, Benny Medina, to protect her. Benny would have ended Puffy's life if he laid a finger on J.Lo. But still, Puffy was controlling and demanding. Now, there's been a conflicting report though, as another source who knew the couple at the time said he definitely manhandled her, but it's a little low to bring all this up now, it's kicking a man when he's down. Then there was the nightclub situation. In 1999, Diddy was arrested following an incident that happened at a nightclub in New York. That night, Diddy was with his bodyguard Anthony Wolf, rapper Jamal Barrows, and Jennifer. As reported by Forbes, the incident started with a disagreement and ended with 3 different people becoming injured. After the incident, Diddy, J.Lo, and Jamal left the scene, but the 3 were involved in a police car chase. It was then reported that J.Lo threw evidence out of the car. According to the Washington Post, police found a stolen weapon in the car, and both Diddy and J.Lo were arrested and initially charged with criminal possession of stolen property. The charges against J.Lo were dropped overnight, but Diddy and Jamal went to trial. Diddy faced additional charges of bribery as he had allegedly offered the driver of the car $50,000 to say the weapon was his. Diddy was acquitted of all charges, and Jamal was charged with 5 offenses, but nobody was ever charged and found guilty of the actual incident. But recently, one of Diddy's accusers, Rodney Jones, who filed a lawsuit against the star, claimed that Diddy was responsible for the incident in the nightclub in New York, and alleged that Diddy bragged about using J.Lo to smuggle the weapon into the club. He shared that the artist and his girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez, carried the weapon into the club for him, passed it to him after he got into an altercation with another individual, Jones is alleged in the lawsuit. All I can say about this is yikes. Now, Diddy has denied the accusations, but again, J.Lo has remained silent. Is there more to this story that J.Lo is letting on? And if she could lie about that, then has she really been involved with the crimes happening at Diddy's parties? There's so much speculation right now, but it seems like we won't get an answer about it unless J.Lo is called on to testify at Diddy's trial, which is currently set for May 5th, 2025. Jennifer Lopez has been in a lot of hot water this year, and more things are being revealed, like how she treated her now ex-husband, Ben Affleck, and how demanding she was of her staff when she would go on tour. Now, we all know that J.Lo and Ben got back together and married each other 2 years ago. Now, unfortunately for J.Lo, 2024 was not a good year for the pair, and they actually got divorced. Now, there were several rumors all year about this due to the fact that she canceled her tour and they were selling her house. Turns out it was true though, as on Tuesday, August 20th in LA, J.Lo filed for divorce at County Superior Court. Now, the official separation date is listed as April 26. But there was a tiny problem. OK Magazine said that when the pair wedded in Las Vegas, they didn't tie up their assets. That's right, there was no prenup. At least that's what was alleged. Now, according to the source, Jen's love for Ben was so unconditional at the time, she didn't see a prenup as necessary. Now, this was confirmed this week as TMZ broke the news that there was no prenup in place, which is honestly scary. Now, usually when there is no prenup, the couple would split their assets 50-50, but apparently this is not happening. Now, a settlement they reached was essentially like a prenup, which is good for Jen considering her net worth is much higher than Ben's. Not to mention, a person with knowledge of the matter suggested that Jennifer spent more money during their relationship. The insider alleges J.Lo took on the majority of the financial responsibility. One little known secret is that Jennifer paid for much of their marital expenses, the source claimed. She's adding up all those private jet bills she puts on her plastic, the hotels and meals, clothes, coffee runs, gas. The high cost of living was done on her dime. She paid the lion's share for that $60 million mansion they bought too, they added. Ben took so much money out of her, at least that's what she's saying. And all I can say is yikes. Then there's also the fact that she's super demanding. Like, honestly, her list of so-called requests are insane. Now, J.Lo seems to be obsessed with the color white, so much so that she demands any dressing rooms to be completely redecorated. And this isn't even an exaggeration. A list with all her demands was leaked, and she demanded to have an all-white dressing room, including white candles, tables, couches, drapes, tablecloths, and flowers. She also requested a large number of candles, which must be either lime blossom or Joe Malone's grapefruit. And this has followed through her entire career. In January of 2016, J.Lo began her residency in Las Vegas and made millions and millions of dollars. But the money wasn't enough for her to sign on. She also requested 3 penthouse suites all next to each other and a playground in her suite for her kids. She also demanded a personal laundry service and for each room to have its own on-call butler wearing all white, in addition to the housekeeping staff signing NDAs. And finally, she requested brand new toilets for the backstage area, and of course, an all-white dressing room. Then there was the fact that it was exposed that she didn't actually go to the Bronx to film a commercial. She just pretended to and used a stunt double. Now, the commercial is from 2011, where J.Lo is seen driving a Fiat 500 Cabero as she travels through the streets of Manhattan to the Bronx, where she grew up. But the ad backfired when it was reported that she never actually went to the Bronx to film the ad, and that a body double stand-in was used instead. And I mean, if you watch the ad knowing this information, it's pretty obvious. But I mean, why not just ditch J.Lo and use another celebrity who would actually show up on set? It's just a bad look and honestly completely embarrassing. New videos and photo leaks have just come out of J.Lo that may have just destroyed her career, as it implicates her with some of Diddy's crimes. Is she guilty though? Here's what we know so far. A series of unseen pictures from the night of the 2000 VMA ceremony show Diddy and then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez in a heated exchange. Now, the pair dated from 1999 to 2001, and the pictures were released by DailyMail.com. They show Diddy and J.Lo in a fight at an after-party for the 2000 MTV VMAs at the defunct Lotus nightclub in New York City. Now, the photos were taken on September 7th, a day that Diddy has been accused of committing a horrible crime. But what really happened? Diddy held a Cristal champagne bottle the entire time serving his guests, a source has now spoken out, contextualizing the pictures. J.Lo is seen furiously shouting at her then-partner in the newly released images. She's believed to have walked out on him eventually. Everyone was dancing and enjoying themselves, but as the night progressed, tensions rose between him and J.Lo. The source, who was seemingly present at the scene and witnessed the former couple butting heads, confessed. Now, the party guests also complained that in the aftermath of this spat with his then-girlfriend, Diddy left the place early on, accompanied by a group of girls and his entourage. Now, earlier that night in an all-white outfit, J.Lo was pictured alongside Diddy at the VMAs at Radio City Music Hall. It was an especially special night for her, as she had won the Best Dance video, and in her acceptance speech, she even thanked Diddy. But it seems like Diddy may have messed all of this up, and maybe the fight was about that. You see, a lawsuit had been filed in October against Diddy for mistreating and taking advantage of a woman. The anonymous accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, said the incident happened after she was driven to an MTV VMA after-party in the year 2000. Now, it seems like this could have happened after Diddy left the nightclub. The lawsuit says that a friend dropped Jane off at the VMAs at the Radio City Music Hall. She did not have a ticket, and she approached various limousine drivers to try to gain access to the show or simply to an after-party. Now, one driver, the lawsuit says, told her that he worked for Diddy and that she fit what Diddy was looking for. He invited her to a party after the show and told her to return to his car later in the evening after he transported Diddy and Jay-Z. Now, later in the night, the driver picked her up, and after 20 minutes, they arrived at a white house with a U-shaped driveway, the suit says. Now, Jane Doe then had to sign a document she believed was a non-disclosure agreement on arrival to enter the party, which the suit says was filled with celebrities. While there, she says she was offered a drink that made her feel woozy, lightheaded, and felt like she needed to lie down, so she went into a room to rest. Shortly afterwards, the suit says that Diddy and Jay-Z entered the room with Diddy saying, "You are ready to party." That's when she alleges she was taken advantage of by both men, while an unnamed female celebrity watched. Now, after the alleged incident, the suit says, Jane Doe grabbed her clothes and left. Now, what we knew at the time was at the after-party, the victim was mistreated by Diddy, while another male celebrity and female celebrity, neither of whom were named in the lawsuit at the time, watched until she was able to escape. Now, this case was refiled on Sunday, December 8th, and it included Jay-Z, aka Sean Carter, in it. Now, it turns out that he was the male celebrity described in the suit. But who was the female celebrity? Some people think it could be J.Lo. I mean, she did attend pretty much all of Diddy's parties, and there's no way she didn't know about all the sketchy stuff going on. Now, one of J.Lo's ex-husbands, Ojani Noah, recently took to social media to distance himself from any connection to Diddy's freak-off parties, but he claimed that J.Lo was one of multiple celebrities present at them. While we do know that J.Lo has been to Diddy parties, as there's actual photographic evidence, there has been nothing official put out about her involvement in freak-offs. In a post on Instagram, Noah shared a list of stars who allegedly attended Diddy's parties, one being J.Lo. "I'm not on the list," he captioned the post. To those people and media outlets asking if I ever went or participated in that piece of Diddy's freak-off parties, no and no, never. But my ex-wife, Jennifer Lopez, aka J.Lo, did ask her. But now it seems like J.Lo is refusing to speak about her ex Diddy. She walked out of an autographing signing at AFI Fest 2024 when someone in the crowd asked her if she had any comments about Diddy and the allegations. According to the the US Mirror. Now, the tabloid reported that the singer left immediately despite fans' pleas that she stay, and don't expect her to say anything. In May, after video footage of Diddy hurting his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura was brought to light, J.Lo stayed silent. Many of Diddy's other exes have spoken out against him, but not J.Lo. Though tabloid sources claim that the Cassie footage disgusted her, J.Lo was silent on the subject and has stayed that way. Sources have been saying that Jen is not going to address the accusations or take time to talk about them because it's not her story to tell. If an interviewer brought it up, she would cross that path when it happens, but she won't address it publicly and will not put herself in that conversation on purpose. But J.Lo has spoken out in the past before about her relationship with Diddy, and some people believe that she might be a victim of his. Throughout their relationship and then after their breakup, J.Lo was aware of rumors that Diddy was cheating on her. Now, Diddy has admitted to cheating on multiple girlfriends in the past, so she was most likely right. It was the first time I was with someone who wasn't faithful, she told Vibe magazine after the breakup. I was in a relationship with Puff where I was totally crying, crazy, and going nuts. It really took my whole life in a tailspin. Now, she then grew increasingly concerned about his fidelity. I never caught him, but I just knew, she said of the cheating. He'd say he was going to the club for a couple of hours and never come back that night. Now, Diddy himself admitted that he was often unfaithful in relationships. But with Diddy's recent arrest, people have been questioning how he treated J.Lo. An anonymous source said he was very controlling, he would constantly put her in uncomfortable situations. This is a good girl from the Bronx who never got into trouble or was wild. Now, the source also said he never hurt J.Lo, but she had her longtime manager, Benny Medina, to protect her. Benny would have ended Puffy's life if he laid a hand on J.Lo. But still, Puffy was controlling and demanding. But there's been a conflicting report though, as another source who knew the couple at the time said he definitely manhandled her, but it's a little low to bring that up all now. It's kicking a man when he's down. Then there's also the fact that J.Lo's mom didn't like Diddy. When J.Lo was asked about Diddy in 2022 when she was on the Wendy Williams show, Wendy asked if she and Diddy would ever get back together. Now, J.Lo laughed and shook her head as the cameras panned to her mom sitting in the audience. Now, J.Lo's mother looked furious as she shouted no while waving her hand back and forth. Now, that reaction spoke volumes, and it seemed like she knew something the rest of us didn't. Now, it's important to note that J.Lo has not been connected legally to any of Diddy's crimes. The only celebrity who's been named with him is Jay-Z, who is obviously denying all the claims. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens in this case.
43 seconds that changed everything. Jennifer Lopez's infamous 1998 interview that single-handedly derailed and destroyed her career. Today we discuss box office flops, public feuds, and high-profile breakups that J.Lo may never be able to recover from. Before we get into the best worst interview that Jennifer Lopez has ever sat for, we need to discuss her most famous public feud that left a bad taste in the land of lambs. If you don't know what I mean by that, well, try and keep up. We're about to dig into J.Lo's feud with the self-proclaimed Christmas queen, Mariah Carey. And yes, lambs are what Mariah Carey's fans call themselves. Now, this feud has been going on for like decades. The feud to the public's eye started when Mariah Carey claimed she didn't know who Jennifer Lopez was. When asked about Jennifer Lopez in a 2008 interview, Mariah Carey famously said, "I don't know her." However, this feud actually began between the two back in the late 1990s when Lopez signed a record deal with Sony Music Entertainment and started working with Carey's then husband, Tommy Mottola. Now, this was actually a pivotal moment in J.Lo's career, and at the time, Mottola was the chairman and CEO and played a significant role in shaping J.Lo's early success. And to give you a little bit more context, he was very instrumental in launching the careers of various artists, including Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, Destiny's Child, and Shakira. So yeah, he was like a big man on campus. Now, Tommy was known to be a very hands-on manager. He worked very closely with Lopez to develop her sound and image, and this of course had an impact on his personal relationship with Mariah, which in turn caused tension between Carey and Lopez. But that's not the only reason why there was beef. Like, it is reported that Mottola actually stole music from Mariah to give to Lopez and build her up. Now, when Mariah Carey released her book, The Meaning of Mariah, in 2020, it actually showcased her very toxic relationship with Mottola, and when referencing Lopez, she refers to her as the one who must not be named. It is reported in her her book that a sample Mariah was set to use for her new song Loverboy, out of spite due to Mottola and Carey's breakup, Mottola rushed to have it be used by another artist on the label. And although not named directly, we are led to believe that artist is Jennifer Lopez. Now, Mariah Carey said this was sabotage, like plain and simple. Mariah did change the sample in order to make Loverboy, and she did have the last laugh because Loverboy went on to become the best-selling single of 2001. So like, I completely get Mariah being salty towards J.Lo for this whole situation, but you do have to wonder how much J.Lo had to say or even really knew what was going on. I mean, in my humble opinion, I think Mottola played them both and set both of them up for disaster. It seems like he intentionally created scenarios and a dynamic between the two that would, of course, cause them to hate each other. Now, in an interview with Andy Cohen, he asked J.Lo if she had any problems with Mariah Carey. J.Lo responded by saying, "I don't have a feud against her at all. I know from back in the day, I've read things that she said about me that were not the greatest, but we have never met. We don't know each other." She even went on to say, "I would love to meet her and I would love to be friends with her." I'm sorry, girl. I honestly don't think Mariah feels the same at all. Let's get into J.Lo's most high-profile breakup. You already know who I'm about to mention. Yes, Ben Affleck. What's crazy about this one is that she had two high-profile breakups with him. Once in 2004 and then 20 years later in 2024. Now, Lopez and Affleck, or better known collectively as Bennifer by the press, met while filming Geely. We'll get into that one in a bit. And they got engaged in 2002. Their wedding was postponed multiple times due to media attention, and once in 2003, just one day before the ceremony, they made a joint statement that said, "Due to the excessive media attention surrounding our wedding, we have decided to postpone the date." When we found ourselves seriously contemplating hiring 3 separate decoy brides at 3 different locations, we realized that something was awry. We began to feel that the spirit of what should have been the happiest day of our lives would be compromised. We felt that what should have been a joyful and sacred day would be spoiled for us, our families, and our friends. So after that statement, they briefly split up, but then they actually rekindled their relationship, but then eventually called it off just 3 days before the wedding in January of 2004. Jennifer also told People magazine, and I quote, "We didn't try to have a public relationship, we just happened to be together at the birth of the tabloids. It was just a lot of pressure." Ben shared the same sentiments, and although it's reported that it was the pressure that was the main cause of their split, they also had conflicting schedules that made it really difficult to maintain a healthy work-life balance, and it is said that the couple had different views on what to share publicly, which led to like a lot of conflict and tension. Now, at the time, Lopez described the breakup as the biggest heartbreak of her life, and saying that it felt like her whole bleeping world exploded. It even made her question if she belonged in the entertainment business. She said it took her 2 years to get over Ben, meaning when she was married to Mark Anthony, she still had strong feelings for Ben. So that kind of sounds like a rebound to me, right? Now, the couple's relationship captivated audiences and reminded people that even glamorous relationships can and will face challenges. Jen and Ben literally went on to live 2 totally separate lives, but they did always remain on friendly terms and supportive of one another. Ben would go on to marry Jennifer Garner, with whom he has 3 children with, and J.Lo rebounded onto Mark Anthony, with whom she had twins Max and Em with. Ben continued his acting career, starring in films like Hollywoodland, The Town, Argo, and more, and Jennifer released several albums, including Rebirth in 2005, Brave in 2007, and Love in 2011. She even judged on American Idol from 2011 to 2016. Now, let's not forget her acting career though, because listen, I do really love me a good J.Lo rom-com, and she kept busy starring in movies like Maid in Manhattan, Shall We Dance, Monster-in-Law, and in the more recent years, Second Act, Hustlers, and Shotgun Wedding. It's safe to say they both evolved as individuals and continued to grow while they were apart. Now, fast forward to April 2021, Lopez and Affleck rekindled their romance and were spotted together after they both separated from their other partners. In May, they both went on a trip to Montana together, and in July 2022, the couple secretly married in Las Vegas at the Little White Chapel. Sadly, for all Bennifer fans, this was short-lived as their marriage came to an end in August of 2024, when Lopez filed for divorce without a lawyer, citing irreconcilable differences. Now, a bit of deja vu here, because although I'm sure there were several factors that contributed to the breakdown of the relationship, but according to sources close to Lopez, Ben's discomfort with the paparazzi attention was a significant issue. Boy, like, I'm gonna need you to get yourself all the way together together. Like, she was J.Lo in 2004. She's still J.Lo in 2024 too. Like, what's insanity again, doing the same thing and expecting a different result, right? Anyway, additionally, Affleck was apparently uncomfortable with Lopez's decision to share private love letters with her music team. I actually don't think many fans were shocked though, because the months leading up to the split, there were so many signs of trouble. The couple was rarely seen together, and when they were, Ben looked so miserable, like just down astronomically bad. And there's even one video that looks to be Ben slamming the car door in Jennifer's face while out running errands. Just not a good look. And to every person watching that video, it signaled the beginning of the end. Now, this second split from Ben, of course, was devastating to Bennifer fans worldwide and shocked many. Actually, no, it didn't really shock too many, to be honest, but it was sad, like, nonetheless. Okay, before I send you guys off with J.Lo's most infamous interview that almost ruined her career, I first want to talk about J.Lo's worst film. Not Jersey Girl, which was bad, not Atlas, also bad, and not U-Turn, which I bet you haven't even heard of that one, so you're welcome. No, let's talk about Geely. And to be fair, it's so bad, it's still not good. She actually should have won a Razzie for it, honestly. But to give you the quickest synopsis possible, Geely, played by Ben Affleck, is ordered to kidnap the psychologically challenged younger brother of a powerful federal prosecutor. Now, when plans go wrong, Geely's boss sends in Ricky, played by Jennifer Lopez, a gorgeous, like, free-spirited female gangster who has her own set of orders to assist with the kidnapping. But Geely begins falling for the decidedly unavailable Ricky, which could be a hazard to his occupation. Geely is widely regarded as one of the worst films of the 2000s. It has like a confusing storyline, underdeveloped characters, cringeworthy dialogue, and the acting is honestly horrible. And not just from Jen, but like from literally every person starring in the film. And there's a lot of big actors in the film. But it's not any interview for that film that almost blew up her career and status in Hollywood. No, it's actually a 1998 interview with Movie Line. In this interview, she criticized several actresses' acting skills, saying that most were not good actresses and implying that acting is a craft that requires dedication and hard work. She went for Madonna, and to quote, she said, "Do I think she's a great performer? Yes. Do I think she's a great actress? No." She then went on to make even bigger mistakes by saying negative comments about other actresses, including Cameron Diaz, where she says, "A lucky model who's been given a lot of opportunities I just wish she would have done more with. She's beautiful and has a great presence though." And then went in on Gwyneth Paltrow saying, "Tell me what she's been in. I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work." Yes, she said all of that about Gwyneth Paltrow, like who would go on a few months later to win an Oscar. Her comments about Madonna, however, sparked a feud between the two, with Madonna later responding that Lopez couldn't sing. The interview was widely reported and created a media frenzy, damaging J.Lo's reputation and relationships within the industry. Lopez did apologize for her statements and said they were taken out of context and misquoted, but the damage was done, and it even made Lopez consider quitting the industry altogether. I just think it's funny that J.Lo had so many opinions on who is or isn't a great actress, as if she is a great actress herself. None of her critiques aged well, and most can be said about her today if we're being honest. The thing is too, is that some of what she said had some truth, but the problem is whose mouth it came out of. She does not have a leg to stand on, and although I'm a fan of J.Lo's rom-coms, I still don't think she then nor now is in any position to throw shade when it comes to acting. What do you guys think though? Does J.Lo deserve more acting credit? You think she'll ever win an Oscar?
Ben didn't want his love letters to Jennifer being made public in her new film, but insiders have claimed it wasn't because he had kept them a secret from his ex-wife. Because Jennifer Garner's fans were kind of outraged after Ben Affleck revealed that he clung on to his correspondence with J.Lo during his 13-year marriage, and then had those letters and emails bound into a book to gift to Jenny from the Block when they reunited in 2021. But insiders have quashed any notion that the admission shocked Garner. Apparently she was happy for Ben Affleck and J.Lo. She's friends with them, and she's also at peace in her current relationship. But Ben, on the other hand, would love for the outside world not to know about his love letters. Sure, he's a romantic, but you know, he's still a private kind of guy. He keeps his memories, whether it is from the movies he worked on or family, relationship moments. He always has what common folks call receipts. But then at the end of the day, nobody was surprised by J.Lo making things public because J.Lo wanted everybody to know about it. She was like, "Oh, this is our inspiration." Ben didn't know that she actually brought those into the studio until she told the world. According to several of J.Lo's former staff members, Jennifer earned herself the nickname Paylo because she paid her staff around 50% less than they could make elsewhere. And this rumor's been going on for years, so it's pretty much fact at this point. We're talking like 2003, which is like 20 plus years ago. J.Lo was spotted in Vegas with Ben Affleck when they were first dating. Right now we're in round 3, 2, depends on where you are on the timeline. The pair had a big win. Ben decided to drop $2,000 to the dealer, but before the dealer could actually like take his well-earned reward, J.Lo snatched up the cash, swapped it for $200. Now, people are like, okay, does she have a reason for paying her staff so little? She's like, yeah, I had to work hard to make my money, so like everybody else should. And like, I'm sorry, that's just embarrassing. If you had to work hard to earn what you earned, you should want to try and make it easier for others because you know how hard it is. It's just a really entitled point of view and it's gross. Now, if you didn't know, earlier this year, J.Lo released her documentary on Prime. It's This Is Me Now, a love story. Gave you behind the scenes look into her album, This Is Me Now. If I'm sounding redundant, just you wait. The movie was called The Greatest Love Story Never Told. Until it was told, and now it's over. Sorry, my little ad lib there.